Hey, what's up, guys?
Love that
Welcome.
intro, man.
Yeah, love it. Every time it gets me, I'm jamming to it in the background. What's up, Dolphin fans? Good morning. Welcome to Countdown to Game Day. The Dolphins versus Chargers this week. Boy, this game is loaded with storylines, and it's a big game. I know we have a special guest on the Countdown to Game Day. You know him as always on my co-host during the week. Sarni.
You always have a special guest. Me, special is like
yeah.
special.
Sorry.
Now you got a real special guy.
Yeah. So the Countdown to Game Day show here. We're gonna break it down in depth like nowhere else. We'll go through the injury reports, the game plans, the matchups, keys to the game. We'll play the fun. Jason, you get to play the fun over/under game with us, and we'll have some bold predictions. And of course, we're live with you guys on YouTube. So drop those likes, subscribe, help support the channel, load up the chat with your questions, and again, comments below after the show. I love reading. So let's get into it. This is going to be an interesting game here. I'll be at the game. George big time me yesterday, but I'm still here to support the Dive Bar podcast. What's up, Bobby? Yeah, so I'll be at the game. Big game. Let's start here. The storylines. Jason, I know you're a big proponent in this game. Proponent. Sorry. Early morning. Big proponent of the storylines in this game, Harbaugh and the Tua versus Herbert and all that good stuff. What are you looking for in this game? Which storyline here has you most? Is it? You predicted that this could be McDaniel's last game. So get into the storylines of this game.
I think this is one of those games where and we've all probably been in a moment in our life where we said, I've had it with something. I know I have.
Well, that was last week, I think, with Carolina.
But this particular game, there could be a half a dozen things that all pile up into a blender. And it's not just the Harbaugh scenario because, the Dolphins rumored wanted Harbaugh. They did not get Harbaugh. The Dolphins picked Tua Tagovailoa over Justin Herbert. I'm saving that for tomorrow on Twitter. I'm not even touching that right now. And then you have certain things that are like little tiny storylines. Back in the 2018 draft, the Dolphins select Minkah Fitzpatrick. A lot of Dolphin fans said, maybe Derwin James would have been the better player. Minkah goes to Pittsburgh. Derwin James stays with the Chargers. They have both had terrific careers, and now Minkah's back with Miami. So that's intriguing. You got Oronde Gadsden the second, on the field for the Chargers. So that's going to be a fun one. And the more game-related storylines is that if the Dolphins' defense, specifically their pass rush, cannot take advantage of Rashawn Slater out, Joe Alt out, Omarion Hampton out, it's almost an egregious potential offense of how inept the defense is. So this is a game where Anthony Weaver, who has been poor this year, should be saying, you know what? Our season could spike to a better scenario. We can maybe start our way to getting to 500 with 2 winnable matchups in the next 2 weeks. This game is purely on the defense to stop Justin Herbert, who is missing weapons and protectors. But I still don't know if they're going to be capable of doing that with the trio of receivers that are pretty solid in Quentin Johnson, who's questionable. So he might be out. Yeah. And you still have Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey and the aforementioned Oronde Gadsden II, who is a wide receiver wrapped in a tight end label. So there's a lot of fun scenarios. And if the Chargers dominate this game, I mean, if we're talking like domination, how could you not be tired of everything, including the choices that were and were not made by a general manager mixed with the ineptitude of a coaching staff? So to me, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is not the case. I never root for losses, even in tank scenarios. I'm a fan. But if this is a game that we're just done early, how the heck do you continue? How?
Yeah, I forgot to mention the Gadsden thing. Are we going to get another former player tight end? I mean, Mason Taylor had a pretty good game with the Jets versus us. So
a guy like Harbaugh will probably have that as an asterisk, as a fun little bonus.
I knew they were going to target Mason. You just knew that was going to happen the week the Dolphins played the Jets. All right, Curtis, what are your thoughts on these storylines in these games? I mean, this is the Chargers-Dolphins is always fun ever since the 2020 season, but Jason mentioned the Harbaugh story, the Michigan connection with Ross, and then obviously the two quarterbacks who are so often going to be compared to each other, going back-to-back 5 and 6 in that 2020 draft.
Well, listen, I think Jason kind of summed it all up. I got issues, like I got mental issues. I'm very pedantic. I've OCD.
You're not the only one.
And so for me, I get very flustered and I have a hard time processing the evaluations and then the football realities. Yeah. But clearly the narratives that everything was said is absolutely 100%. But narratives, they don't really represent the football realities, and the football realities tend to more represent the narratives. So clearly this is a huge game on a narrative level. The narratives are clear. Underneath this thing, though, there's a lot of stuff that makes it not such a clear narrative that it might appear to be. The Dolphins defense is at the bottom of the charts. The Chargers defense is at the top of the charts. They present major problems because they love to run zone. We struggle against zone. We feed on blitzing and man. They don't do either. And so this is, look, Herbert can move. He's got the big arm. He's a big guy. That is a huge advantage for a bad framework, which they currently have. And it's nice to see to him not having a stellar offense. It's kind of similar in some ways to the Dolphins. Dolphins got a bad framework, and Tua can offset it with the quick release, but the lack of movement, the lack of size, the inability to take the deep outs, it's not as much as Herbert. And so you've got this disadvantage in the defense, but parallels at least in the offense. So to me, it's not about do we win or not, because that's not the right narrative. It's how does Tua play? Does Tua get happy feet? Is he shortcutting stuff? Does he get nervous? If he plays his best, that's the best he can do. They both have similar frameworks to an extent, but there's a huge disadvantage playing this Chargers defense. So for me, the biggest, closest narrative to real football evaluations is a McDaniel versus Harbaugh, which I don't think's even close. And so, I think they're getting 4.5 advantage. Look, is very, very big long shot for us to win. Yes, their offense. I got stats I'm going to show you later on both sides of the ball. Yeah, their offensive line is beat up. And honestly, if Brewer plays, Tua's got the better offensive line. But there is a lot of issues beyond that really got to kind of make people understand, have the narrative, but that evaluation's key because it helps you refine the narrative and then understand the football stuff later. So that's my 10 cents or 2 cents or half a cent or whatever. Yeah. I'm working on learning this narrative stuff. The whole YouTube thing I'm not really good at that. Titles.
Yeah. Yeah, the narratives, it is difficult to separate what really matters, the narratives versus the football, actually what happens on the field. But this game is a little juicy, because it's always the Chargers is a different game. It's just you got the coach that maybe we should have had or wish we had. The quarterback, we can get into that debate who, looks like we made the wrong choice. At that position.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Even though I'm not
that Tua sucks. That's the thing. It's not that Tua sucks.
I'm not the biggest Herbert fan, to be honest. I think he's, I think it's a lot of Phillip Rivers there. It's similar situation when the Chargers had. I think there's a lot to be left to be desired with Herbert when it matters the most. But clearly, who do you want 4 or 5 years from now? You would want Herbert. I think that's the question we're going.
That's a great point.
Present day today, if I ask all 32 GMs, who do you want for the next 5 years? All 32 are going to take.
Yeah.
And Herbert. And again, you made a great point. It's not that Tua's a good quarterback. Tua's he's not an aircraft carrier. He's not the bus driver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have all the parts. If you have all the parts right in the car, he can run it efficiently. And as good as anybody in his health, his timing, anticipate, he's good. If he could stay healthy, you probably wouldn't have a problem.
That's the biggest key.
that you wouldn't have a problem with him, the quarterback, because I know we talk about too in the end of the game stuff and January football, but how many great quarterbacks are? It's hard to find one of those guys, and he's good enough. If he was healthy, he's Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's fine. And it's like you can get somewhere with that. But anyways, enough of the narrative. Let's get into the breakdown of the game. Shout out to everybody in the chat, Cap, Dive Bar, Tony's in the house. Everybody's in the house. Thank you so much. Cap says Curtis, George, Jason, we got to win. I agree. I'm still trying to figure out what Bobby says. I big timed him yesterday. Yeah. Let me know, Bobby. Text me when I big timed you on. All right. Let's get to the injury report. For the Dolphins, out. Tyrell Dotson, Elijah Campbell out. Dotson injury. We'll see more. KJ Britt in the middle there. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But the big one. Yeah. Oh, Sammy's in the house. Sammy, I'll see you later today, brother. How you doing, Sammy? Sammy just came down from Puerto Rico. He's going to the event this afternoon at Bo Campers. I can't wait to meet everybody there. It's at Bo Campers 2 to 6, the fan event. See you soon, Giorgio. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know, Bobby. Let me get into the injury report of the game. All right, so the big one, though, for me, Aaron Brewer. Boy, he better play, or else I fear for Tua in the middle of that offensive line. That'd be when you see Brunskill. Do we know, Jason? Have we heard it's 50-50 or they weren't sure, right?
He's questionable.
Questionable. I mean, you can call it 50-50. I guess.
Peck is bad, though.
But
Peck for an offensive line.
Right. I mean, even if he is playing, he's playing with a detrimental injury for the position. So,
and it could knock him out for the season.
Oh, that'd be don't.
And the funny thing about this is, if the Dolphins, not funny thing, but if the Dolphins play without Brewer, you're going to have Herbert playing without substantial protectors versus Tua playing without substantial protectors. And just, come on, who's going to have the advantage of being able to get over that more?
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
Well, I'd go advantage Herbert in that, the size, and we'll get into the matchups and stuff, but I think they're going to use Herbert's legs a lot in this game. And I'll explain why in a bit. So, anything else on the injury report for the Storm Duck is questionable, upgraded? I don't. We'll see.
He's been limited all week.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was fully participatory on Friday.
I would say my guess he's out. Because you usually like to see a full, at least by Friday, a full participation in practice, not limited. So
correct.
But yeah, who replaces Brewer? Brunskill?
We're calling you up, man. We're calling you up. Well, Bobby, we'll get Bobby in there.
Me and Bobby play center. Who would be the center? Brunskill, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
who else
they have 4 injured
Myers
centers.
Not ready.
Yeah. They have so many injured players. It's unbelievable. Myers, of course, is not ready. Brunskill will probably have to be the guy, which is not promising.
Now, unlike against the Colts or especially the Panthers, up the middle, they don't have a Derek Brown. We'll talk about the guy they have that we let go. They have a couple of guys that they have who T.R. Tart, it's crazy. He's the number 1 graded PFF interior defensive lineman. We'll talk about that. That's crazy. We let him go. He was here for a cup of coffee, 2 months with us. So, and they have Deshaun Hand, but I think Deshaun Hand. Let's get to their injury report. Questionable for them is Bud Dupree, Quentin Johnson, Denzel Perryman, Scott Matlick, and Jamari Saller out. The big one, Joel. Deshaun Hand's out. Darius Davis is out. Trey Pipkins, and on the IR, of course, Amari Hampton and Najee Harris, and they don't have Rashawn Slater. But the big one there, and it's been a tale of 2 teams for the Chargers without Joel. They were 3-0, and then they're 0-2. You kind of had a split here in the beginning of the season. Injury report, that Joel loss, Hampton being out. Listen, this is advantage for the Dolphins here. What stands out to you for the Chargers? Is it the big difference without Joel Curtis, huh?
Yeah, it's a big piece, but if you watch the game last week, they were in control. They were driving down for 17-0, and the receiver fumbled the football. Then they stopped Washington at like the 5, and they did a sealer and got a running into the kicker, and then the game just went on its head. Hampton, I think, is the biggest issue because he's able to generate yards after contact. They don't really have anybody like that. The offensive line's actually been able to, they're, I think, third in the league with 3.4 yards before contact. They just can't pass block. He's the number one blitz quarter. I'll get into that stuff later. Yeah. But to me, Alt's huge, obviously, but they've been able to get by on stuff. They got 3 good receivers. The tight end's pretty decent. And then Herbert's able to do his thing, but they call a very good game. They still run the football. Hampton, I think, is the biggest piece.
He was
especially with the way we can't tackle.
He was coming on. I love their defensive coordinator, Minter. He's
good.
He's real good, man. Jason, your thoughts on the Chargers injury report? That alt loss is huge, man. They are. I'll give you a stat. The last 3 weeks, their pass blocking grade is 30th in the league. I mean, that's all you need to know.
This is what I mean by, like, if any defensive coordinator or front 7 grouping should be licking their chops, Chop Robinson specifically, to get to the quarterback, Jalen Phillips to get to the quarterback and make life difficult for Herbert. This is the game. So for me, it's the alt loss. And you mentioned Hampton, and as talented and powerful as a back that he is, I might be able to put up 135 rushing yards against a Dolphins defense. So
137.
Thank you. I appreciate the benefit of that. You have Hassan Haskins, you have Kamani Vidal. These aren't world-beating running backs, but Rico Dowell was phenomenal last week. And Dowdle's a better player.
Yeah, he was 1,000 yards.
I get that.
Dallas, but
correct.
Still, your point well taken.
But to me, if there's anything less than defensive domination from the front in this game, it's a problem. So even if we're talking, 24-24 in the fourth quarter and the Chargers have amassed 120 total ground yards, that's already, to me, an overarching loss, even if they pull out a win. Because, Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal, 2 down linemen who were first overall pick, first-round talent linemen. Yeah. This is a game that the Dolphins need to put their collective cleats on the throat of the Chargers, and I don't think the Dolphins have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Lee, Sammy's significant other. So we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you as always for the support. Finn Spin in the house. I want to see Grant meet Herbert. Let him feel that 340 pounds of fish for once. You and us all both, Finn. All right, so moving on from the injury report. And, let's kind of get into the Dolphins' offensive game plan here versus the Chargers' defense. You mentioned this, Curtis. Chargers a heavy zone team, and they also run a ton of dime. They're one of the tops in running dime defense in the league. So they're kind of funny, their defense. Their defense, they give up, they don't give up a lot of points. They score actually the exact. You know what's funny about the Chargers? Their defense, they give up the exact same points. They score the exact same points on offense, 19.6 average, which is 26 in the league, as they do give up. As they give up a game in 19.6. So they're right down the middle. Yards per game, they're 7th in the league. They give up 293. Yards per play, they're 8th at 5.0. So they don't give up a lot of yards. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Yards per play, a lot of short passes on both sides in this game. Opponent's third down conversion, they're 11th in the league. Red zone scoring, and I think when you look at the Dolphins, this is going to be a key here. The Chargers' red zone scoring defense, they're 2nd. They hold opponents to field goals. All right, so I think it's going to be important for the Dolphins to convert touchdowns here, and they're 3rd in allowing touchdowns in 1.8. They don't give up a lot of touchdowns. So their defense is stingy. They're really good in the red zone. So when you see the Dolphins drive, we're at the 15, the 18, the 10, and we're doing field goals, I think that's going to be the difference. We have a chance to win this game is converting those field goals and at least getting a couple touchdowns in this game. I don't think the Chargers are strong up the middle. Like I said, I think their front 7 not a huge fan of. They did acquire Owe from the Ravens to pair with Thule's a beast. Thule had 4 sacks game. He's the one you got to watch off the edge. But I think the Dolphins here, my game plan would be, and you guys could jump in, run the ball on first down. Keep it manageable to 35, 34, 36 for Tua. Don't abandon the run game, even if it's not working early on. And I don't know about you, Curtis, but I want to see some 22 personnel here. I like Waller, the 22 personnel. I don't like Waller when he's the single tight end. Keep feeding him, and don't let Jesse Minter. Don't have that early 3rd and long situations, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 penalties, because Jesse Minter can get in his bag. He's real good. Their 2 corners are 2 5th-round picks from last year, still in Hart. So to me, run the ball early. Early down success is the key here. We'll go with you, Curtis. What's your game plan versus the Chargers defense?
Well, if you can, just call up my my little graphique.
The first one, yeah, let me put that up there.
I just want to go over a little, just a fleshing out of what we're dealing with. Look, I guess we're doing our offense versus their defense.
You want to switch this?
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just look at the top and look at their defense. They're 21st least blitz at 20%. They're bringing the 9th most pressure at 22%. They're 5th least completion percentage. Their tackle for loss rank is 9th best, and they got a little bit of missed tackles at 15th. Just quick looking at our defense, they're 34 with 34th percent, 5th best in blitz, but we're getting 2% less pressure than they are, 14th, with 14% more blitz rate. Our completion percentage for opposing quarterbacks, the worst, 32nd. Tackle for loss rank, 25th, just about one of the worst, bottom, 7. Missed tackle rate, 21st. This is so lopsided. And then when you go to the offense, look, yards before contact, yeah, they're missing all, but they're still getting 3.4 yards before contact. We're getting 1.8. Now, to your point, yards after contact, they're only getting 1.8. We're getting 2.4. You've got to feed these backs. Feed them inside. Don't be afraid. Let them break some tackles. You've got to be diverse. But some people were saying I've been talking about time to throw and clean time throwing. I say, it's not legit because of the screens. So now I pull the screens out. So this is your clean time to throw. Clean time to throw by the Chargers, 2.51, us 2.39. Average depth of target's about the same. But think about that. I didn't put it in there, but they're the most blitzed team in the league, and it's still getting 2.51. And so that's part of the that's where we're actually 30th least blitz.
Teams don't blitz. Teams are afraid of the hill when he was healthy. And Water, they play that shell cover. They don't blitz a lot. And
they're still getting that pressure.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. So basically, you've got, as you said, you've got attempts. That's what they've learned. They lost Hampton. They lost Alt. But even when they had Hampton, they were just running that football. They are very, very, very – I think he's got like 93 passes or 95 passes. Tua's got 111. They're far more balanced. They have more time of possession. And McDaniel, if he doesn't learn it, attempts mean everything. You attack. If you go back and you watch the game last week, Carolina, there was a lot of 1, 2, 3 yard runs. But they attacked everywhere, and ultimately those started breaking open where we just ran to the same spot, ran outside. Ali had one negative play, and he ran from it like, a scared little girl. And so if we don't run that football, this could be a very, very ugly game. You're not going to get big plays on them. They're going to control the line of scrimmage to a certain extent, but you've got to gas them. You've got to attack them. So I don't know where we're at, but that's my 2 cents.
You want to pull up the other chart, or
no? That's the same chart. I mixed it.
Okay.
So I give you both sides to kind of get the feel of what we're at. This defense is totally lopsided against our offense, and even their struggling offense is offensive line is doing better than our offensive line. It's not all Herbert, although some part of it is, because even if they're blitzing, he can move and he can attack the sides. and he's a little bit more sturdy when the pressure comes, but they're able to generate yards before contact. They're able to be number one blitzed and still give about the same pressure as we are at 30th blitz. So that says a ton. Yeah. So it's just, it is Tua versus Herbert and McDaniel versus Harbaugh, but there is some serious leverage that they've got over us.
So we got some Chargers. We got a Chargers fan in the house, or true Finn fan. No, I thought that was a Herbert thing. 34-16 Chargers. Jason, your thoughts on all that courtesy said and kind of the Dolphins game plan?
Sorry for the info dump. I was trying to stay on.
That's good. I love it. That's what makes the show
great. That's great. We love the info here.
So your thoughts on the offensive game plan here for the Chargers? What do you want to see this Sunday?
Go vertical. More vertical.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, and I understand that the screen game is more or less an extension of the run. I get that. But a guy like a Malik Washington, let him get vertical. I mean, last year, believe it or not, as a rookie, as limited as he was statistically, he was the number one player in the league at wins of route win rate. Sorry. So basically, you give him an opportunity to get a couple of yards in a depth of target and get him downfield. Chances are he could separate and get himself open for Tua to deliver a ball. And I'll tell you, find me footage of him being tackled by the first man, whether it's a run, a catch, or a return. Malik Washington is a dog of a player, and he does not allow that first guy to bring him down. Last week, you could look at his 4 catches for 0 yards, which is a very weird and unique statistic. That's not on him. That's where he's getting the ball. So that's one thing. I'd like to get him vertical. I'd like to keep Waller targeted as he was in the first half of the Carolina game and then disappeared, and they did not utilize him in the second half. He's playing great. Mixing in with that, I would like to see a little bit more. Here's a name, Nick Westbrook-Akine, especially in the red zone. You mentioned the stinginess. And as good as a receiving running back as Devon Achane is, I do not want to see a fade to him this game in the end zone. I'd like that to be either for Waller or Akine. You know, I mean, you have a very solid safety in Derwin James back there who might neutralize Waller or be a guy to take him away. So let's get Akine on the field a little bit more. Let's see what he could do with that size and his ability to stretch. Another thing that I would like to see is if you are going to utilize Achane as more of a receiver, get him on the outside, get Gordon in 2. Ollie Gordon and Achane on the field at the same time. And if Gordon could help take that pressure off, so maybe the downfield shots to Waddle could happen, I would like to see a little bit more creativity. And Cap for Life, absolutely. Do not be afraid of going vertical. I mean, this game is probably going to be both passers going for over 35 attempts. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Herbert throws 42 times, you know, but for the Dolphins, it would be nice to mix in a balance of run and pass, but when you are throwing the ball, get vertical more. At the very least, maybe those young cornerbacks can get some flags. You know what I'm saying? Even if that sounds pathetic to root for flags for pass interference, but that's what happened with the Dolphins and the Panthers last week when Jack Jones was flagged and they were given second chances on penalties, especially in one of the last plays of the game.
And then Finn mentions Tosh. Tosh got a couple snaps last week, right? In the game. Yeah, the NWI thing.
Go vertical.
There's no chemistry there with Tua.
Correct.
He's not a quick hit. Remember we talked about in the preseason, I don't know how he's going to fit. He's not this quick hit separating guy. He's almost got to be – now with Darren Waller, it's kind of an overlap. What you want NWI to do, Darren's going to do that and better. So, Steve, shout out Steve Malloy. What's up, brother? I haven't talked to you in a while, Steve. Good to see you in the chat. I would like to see Tua under center more.
Agree.
So would I. He's so comfortable when he puts that ball and takes it out of the running back's chest. He's so good at it. His ball handling is so good. They teach RPO stuff, you know, with Tua, using Tua. You know, when he's ball handling, it's a rhythm thing for him. You see his footwork, everything looks better. And I mentioned, what do you think of what I mentioned? Curtis, the 2 tight ends said, I believe they were running 22 personnel in that Waddle touchdown. You know, you can pass off that. it got them confused. What do you think about running more 22 personnel, Curtis?
Well, I don't ever like to disagree with Jason because I love Jason. But they're going to cap the top. They're going to be playing zone. You're going to have to play a ton of small ball and then get that play action to get those bigger plays. You watched last week, Washington's got a pretty darn good offense. They weren't able to get anything going for a long time. It really started opening up with their blunders. And then, what the heck's his name? Daniels getting on the move. He opened a lot of stuff up, running for the football early on, picking up big first downs. And Tua doesn't have that. They're playing, look, they're just going to say, you can't throw deep. We're going to take away the middle. We'll give you the underneath stuff. You can't throw to the deep outs and take on us. Run the football us out of the shell. Play our edges wide, either, slight off the edge of the tackles or far out wide. Strand the D tackles inside. Play our linebackers a little bit deep. Occasionally blitz. But other than that, you're going to have to go down that field, and then you're going to have to score in the red zone. And so McDaniel is so nervous. I mean, he should be called queasy. The only difference between him and Philbin is he hasn't said he's queasy. And it's going to take real intestinal fortitude to run that football and be patient and then matriculate down the field and then call something good to get a big play or score in the red zone. But he doesn't have it. He is a nervous Nelly. He's always desperate to score. You want to score, but he's just so desperate. And, I've come to realize that all his going for a fourth down is overcompensation for his lack of intestinal fortitude. But it's going to be key for him to have that. Harbaugh's got it, and he knows he's got the defense to slow this game down. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out we got about over 100 people on all platforms. Guys,
nice.
Come over to YouTube, guys. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe. And also, not only subscribe, put on the notifications. Because when you turn on the notification, it lets you guys know when we go live. You don't have to do any of the work. So,
Cheetah's got it over there. Tart needs Jonah. Oh my! No. Poop through a goose.
Wait. We talk about narratives and storylines. We got to talk about Pierre Tart and Deshaun Hand. We decided to keep Benito Jones over Deshaun Hand. Pierre Tart, Curtis and Jason, number one graded interior defensive line. We had no room for him. You know what's funny? As more and more this is going on, I don't even know if I can understand or blame the rookies. This player development and coaching staff is just showing me over and over again they're not getting the best out of these guys. So it's kind of even hard to evaluate some of these players. Now when you kind of look at all these situations that are coming up. Jason, I'll start with you. Pierre Tart, what happened here?
It's like when you leave Miami, a lot of players excel. And it's not just him. There have been several players that you could say have done that. Heck, Mac Hollins has excelled in other teams,
Oh, yeah. Andrew Van Ginkel, but he already excelled.
I mean, Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott, Robert Hunt was injured last week, but you could say has gotten better.
Remember when we had Evan Mathis?
It's par for the course, and to see a former Dolphin succeed elsewhere, it's almost commonplace instead of a surprise. So I'm not shocked whatsoever that he's graded number one. I wouldn't be shocked if he makes the Hall of Fame. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're at this point. Where's Eichenberg? We're at that point.
Oh, my God. That says it all. If you're upset that Liam Eichenberg is not on the field, that's not an insult to Cap for Life. I love you, Cap for Life. But if we're saying, hey, man, we kind of miss Liam Eichenberg, that's problem uno. That's terrible. Exactly.
We put Tart in the spin. We put Tart in the toaster. Now he finally popped. Curtis.
Good. That's phenomenal wordplay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's good.
Comment of the day from Finn Spin. We got to start giving out some prizes.
You know what? That's the comment of the day.
Yeah, comment of the day. I'm going to give out some prizes. And stuff like that. I gotta get more. I gotta get better at that. I gotta get better at my job. I gotta be.
Gotta run some laps after this, George.
Yeah. I could use some. All right. So, where were we at? Curtis, Pierre Tart. Did you see this coming or what? What is it?
Well, look, he had
played well last year. He played well.
He had personality issues. He had 2 good seasons. Then he clashed with the Titans. Then he came here and we didn't want him. Football, you could take somebody who's got issues but talent, and you could put him in a good framework of coaching and surrounding talent, and you'll get the best out of him. But if you send him to the land of ineptitude and screw-ups, the chances of them finding their way is not good. Look, Grier is not just he's making the picks, but he's got all these scouts and development groups. They all suck because we constantly flop. This whole thing down to its core is crapola. And it's not just Grier, but Grier's the guy who's supposed to set the framework right. We just don't have the framework from the staff to the players, to the scouts, the development groups, and to the GM, and even to the owner to really have the right. That's why it always repeats. We're always in the same cycle. It's not just one guy. It's a total culture issue. And so, he's surrounded by Harbaugh and Minter. He's got good players around him. I mean, he had what's-his-face matches for a few weeks ago. So he his P's and Q's are being minded, and he's put in the right situation, and you're getting him to be what he can be. So it's not just one thing; it's just everything. That's the problem.
What did you guys think of the Oweh pickup from the Baltimore? He's kind of had, he's kind of got to a slow start, especially. I know he wants another contract. Did you guys like that pickup? Real athletic. Did he really? I think he was a 4.38 coming out of a former first-round pick. Because they don't have Khalil Mack right now, so they wanted somebody else with Thule. How do you think that's going to help him? Is it too early? Can he contribute this week? But what do you both think of the Oweh pickup?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Oh, I think he'll have a sack this week probably, and he'll have a couple of big run stops. I mean, he's going against Borum and Strange.
Borum and Strange.
What a strange set they are. I mean, come on. Look, he'll contribute. They're going to really dominate this front. And Brewer, he's a small guy. I mean, he's big. He's a giant to us, but in the league, he's small. So with a bad pack, he's going to be playing diminished, and he can't handle power to begin with. I'm concerned about him because I think there's a strain. A strain is a tear. It's just not a full tear. So they'll have a good day.
I thought it was a sneaky good pickup, Jason. No way.
Listen, anytime you could add to your roster in the early portions of the season to compensate for a loss, specifically in that area of pass rushing in a passing league, I think it's a good move. Will he be immediately impactful when you go up against the Dolphins team that's down the amount of offensive linemen they have and the lack of quality that they've been playing as a unit? I'll bet the over on the 0.5 sack potential for him 100%. So, let's see what he does. And his job is to get after the passer, which I think he can do fine.
Yeah, they traded Gilman, the safety, for him. They obviously Derwin. We haven't talked about Derwin James.
Steve Brewer is questionable, so let's call it 50-50.
Yeah. As much as you could say Brewer's small or not, he's got. Yeah. I mean, it will be. I don't think it'll be not pretty. And of course, it'll be Pierre Tart wrecking havoc, looking like Warren Sapp, and the guy it just never ends.
Oh yeah.
What I call it, the merry-go-round of mediocrity, and that's kind of what I call it. It's just. But Derwin James, we'll move on to the Dolphins' defense versus their offense. But do you think they're going to just put Derwin James because he does a lot with Travis Kelce? You think they're just going to put James on Waller here? We'll start with you, Jason.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, Waller could be their top touchdown threat when you get into plus territory in the red zone from like his last. He's caught 8 of his 9 targets this season. And here's a fun stat. He's going for a potential 3rd straight week where he can get into the end zone. The last time we saw a Dolphins tight end go 3 straight weeks scoring was my guy, Mike Gesicki, back in 2020. So hopefully we can, get to that level again where Waller should be targeted and utilized. Once anywhere you're in from the 30 on, pepper him.
Yeah.
All right, because he has the ability to do things that nobody else on the Dolphins team can do, go up and get a pass, So I think that Derwin James could very well check Waller, but if you're going to take Derwin out, you really need your complementary players, maybe, to pick up the slack there. But I would say keep on feeding Waller, and he can't disappear in the second half. And I do think ultimately he gets into the end zone. I really, truly do, even if it's 2 catches. I think you really need to find a way to get him the ball in that red zone, 1,000%.
Curtis?
Look, he's got the athleticism to get into him, not let him go clean.
And size.
Yeah, and they've got the surrounding talent. Look, last week, Carolina erased him through scheme. And if they could do it, they got some good corners, but not really the safeties like
There's
Derwin.
still some stuff there, though. I think they got to force themselves to feed Waller a little more.
Exactly.
But the thing is, though, it's McDaniel doesn't have the ability to adjust.
Nothing.
So if they're doing something on offense in the first half and they shut it down, then you've got to readjust in the second half, figure out what they're doing, and then work off of it. I mean, you should be able to get play actions where he breaks free if you run the football enough. But if you're not running the football enough, then then they know where you're going. Waller, Waddle, Achane, middle, deep, sides, done. So that's the problem. If you run the football and you get, 2 or 3 on first down, it's not but it's forcing them to change and adapt and to respect multiple areas. But McDaniels doesn't have it in him. And so there's no reason with what we got here that he should be shut out. There's no reason for McDaniel to have done what he did in the first half and then not be able to adjust when they adjusted. It just shows that he's just not a tactician. He's got a strategy, a game plan. He comes out. If it worked, great. If not, well.
Yeah, agreed. And it's just like we should
try
have known
next
that.
week.
We should have known that based on what his adjustments after the 23 season. They just didn't come. So we should have known that. This is just in a smaller scale. You're 100% correct. He has a game plan. He sticks with it. And then he makes his excuse that they switched the defense. They stacked him into the field. I watched the all-22. There was stuff there. Feed it to him. And I really like passing the ball to the 22 personnel beat.
Yeah.
That Waddle kick, it confuses them. It allows the defense, you get them to loosen up a little bit and not play so much of that shell cover 2 stuff. And I think it disguises the deep pass. And Waddle, if he gets a step, he can go. All right. So I really like that. All right, let's move on to the Dolphins defense, which is been a problem this year, versus the struggling Chargers offense. Their last 2 games, they scored 10 and 18 points. They've only, even when the Chargers were going, the most they scored is 27 points in a game this year. So here's the interesting thing about the Chargers is they are 12th in yards per game, 352, but they're 26 in points per game. Again, the same 19.6 is how many points they score a game on average, and also what they give up. They bend. You have to bend but don't break and hold them to a field goal. This defense. This is a bend but don't break kind of defensive game plan for the Dolphins. Chargers don't score a lot. They get a lot of yards. They're good from the 20 to 20. But if you look at the red zone scoring, the Chargers are last in the league. 38% in the red zone, last. So you have to continue that. If they're at the 25, 20, 15, 18, you got to hold them. You got to hold them off. Continue that. Have them only get 3, because if the Chargers score touchdowns, it's over. Because they don't. Points per third down conversion, they're 4th. 46% on third down conversion. What does that tell me? Herbert's legs. Because they do a lot of the short. They're very similar to the Dolphins. A lot of short passing, but the difference is they have Herbert's legs. I think Herbert is going to run a lot more in this game because of the offensive line. I just think that it's going to be kind of their counter. Because Jason, you mentioned the Chargers' weapons. I do like Quentin Johnson. Lad McConkey. Will Dissy, I don't know if he's playing the tight end that's been helping them. But for me, the question is, will the Chargers be able to run the ball without Hampton? You mentioned Haskins and Vidal. And can the Dolphins defense finally stop the run? But I think the big key is if this defensive line, this pass rush, this might be the recipe for them to get off. The Chargers are bad. They give up a ton. They're one of the tops in the league giving up quick pressures. I mentioned their O-line the last 3 weeks, 30th in pass blocking rate, especially with all out. Even the Slater injury they overcame, but the Alt injury, they really couldn't. So that one is they're a tale of two different teams with him. So bend but don't break on the defense. Pass rush is a key. You have to get it. And I'm going to have a bold prediction. It's going to have to do with the pass rush for the end of the game. But you have to get off on this defense. If they do not generate pass rush versus Herbert in this game with this offensive line, not only this game's over, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season. The Dolphins must take advantage of it. Pass rush has to show up. I mean, the Commanders don't even have a great pass rush, and they got pressure on Herbert last week. Jason, your thoughts on the Dolphins defense here versus the game plan versus the Chargers offense?
Rush, blitz, pressure. And as Curtis's stats provided, the paradox of the amount of blitzing versus the lack of pressure is bothersome and troublesome. But if you can't do it this week with them down, they're never going to do it. So to me, this game is almost more important on Weaver than it is on McDaniel's ability to call a good offensive game, because he has improved relatively in the last 3 or 4 weeks in that area, McDaniel. But Weaver has got to come out and say, this is who we have. This is what I'm going to do forget the cooking and the groceries and all that crap. You're down 2 phenomenal tackles. All right, they are hurt on the offensive line. If Curtis Weaver can't be a mad scientist in his lab or even close to it, it's a huge problem. So to me, they got to get at least three or 4 sacks, maybe even force a turnover in that regard. Fluster Herbert, pressure him. And if they don't do that, I think this game can get way, way out of hand really, really quickly, because there's a triple-headed receiving monster, and they're all a little bit different. You know, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, who could be versatile in the slot or on the outside. Lad McConkey, who had a phenomenal rookie year, slowing much of a start this year as opposed to last year. But Quentin Johnson had a slow start to his career and blowing up this year. So all 3 of those guys could really do damage, and then not even considering Arondé Gadsden Jr., who is more of a receiver and can play the slot area as well than he is a traditional tight end. And you know that he's going to make a phenomenal catch, and everyone's going to reference his father's ability to make some phenomenal catches for the Dolphins. How could you not see that coming? So the Dolphins have got to make Herbert ridiculously uncomfortable for them to have a chance.
Curtis.
Well, I got some scary stats for you.
Here we go. Everybody, we're all bringing out stats today.
Stats Saturday, baby. Saturday.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I can't help it. They got Armstrong.
Hashtag Saturday.
Last week, they faced Armstrong, Kinlaw, Goldman, Payne, and Martin. One of the best fronts in the game.
Like a law firm.
They were blitzed 43% of the time and only gave up 31.4 pressure rate. And their play action was only 23% and screens 14. So they really didn't offset it with a ton. They had more blitz rate than pass rush mitigation and pressure with that front, despite what this offensive line is. A lot of that was because they kept running the football. And as I think somebody said, very smart down there, Weaver said that, hey, man, I had to bring the blitzes because of the run game. And that's what people don't understand. When you run the football, they blitz if they can't control it. And then you do a play action off it, and then it becomes a victory. So Chargers are very balanced and smart on offense. But even with that great Washington front, they didn't, and it wasn't until the end when they really started losing and had to just pass all day that they really start hitting home with high frequency. So what does that say about us? I mean, Payne is playing better than anybody in our interior, and that's critical. So I just think that the reality is we're going to bring the blitz. It's going to thin out the secondary. He'll get on the move, and they're going to have a good day unless our guys just really own up. And we can. The Chargers, they're dealing with playing with Hart and DeCulis. They're terrible. Yeah. But if we can somehow get ahead and force them to pass, then you can really expose it. But if you're a good OC, you balance it out, and then they can't queue up on you. And so then it offsets some of the flaws on your offensive line. It's something we don't ever do much of. So it's all going to come down for me, McDaniel running that football, having intestinal fortitude, and then having balance, because then it will set everything up. And if either one of these sides get pass happy, I think they're not going to be too happy. I think there's going to be problems. So the OCs and the blooded nature to know what to do and to continue to do it, even though it's not, the most friendly looking thing at the moment, it's going to be a huge key. Because that offensive line can do its thing if they're not thrown into just going back and pass sets all day. Yeah,
I mean, it's going to come down to, again, though, can they stop? Are they going to be able to stop the run here? I mean, it's going to come back to that. I mean, yeah, they're out without Hampton, the offensive line, but and I'll tell you, for the Chargers, Bozeman has been bad in the center. He's been bad. Bradley Bozeman is.
I think they benched him.
Yeah, they benched him in this game. I don't know if he's starting this game, but I was watching some film. He's bad. He's been bad. I mean, Brewers light days are better than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you watch. So I mean, he's bad. So I think it starts with that. I just think. I think they're going to attack our defense with Herbert's legs. I think so. So I think they're going to do a lot of that to offset their offensive line. They give up a lot of quick pressures. I mean, they're top of the league in quick pressure that they give up. So he doesn't have a lot of time. But you had the stats there earlier in the graphic. But I just think they're going to attack with his legs in this game. I think Herbert's going to have like at least over 50 yards rushing. Do you guys agree with that? They're going to use Herbert kind of. Not quite like the Giants use Jackson Dart like a running back, but like, they're going to use Herbert's leg. I think it's going to be a key. You guys,
I think yes, I agree. We'll play by design, but if Herbert, like it's 3rd and 6, drop him back to pass. Jalen Phillips over rushes. Herbert picks up a first down, 7-8 yards with his legs. That could happen 2 or 3 times, and that could be the difference. You need one time for that to be a difference. You're looking at a fourth quarter potentially. If the Chargers are trying to equalize or put a drive away, you have him under wraps, and then he scrambles and picks up, a chain moving scenario with his feet. You can't have that. You just can't have that. But I think it's going to happen. Frankly,
I think Curtis are going to overemphasize that in this game. That let's get Herbert. I think there's going to be some designs, but I actually think it's going to be. Off script too. I just think Herbert's going to look for that because he's kind of getting used to this offensive line. It's not really good. The pass rush, the blitz against the blitz, it's not good. So I think that, and again, 3rd and manageable. Early downs, keep them in 3rd and long, where that's going to be hard for Herbert to gain those. Third. When it's 3rd and 9 versus 3rd and 4, Herbert's 6'5". It takes a couple of steps, and and Jalen Phillips has got to be there. We brought in Chop Robinson to be this athletic guy to be able to chase down these guys. We need Phillips. We need Robinson to contain this guy, and who's going to spy him? I mean, we'll get into matchups, but I think that's going to be a big deal. Who's going to spy? Who's got the athleticism, and the size to do that? And, we got to figure that out.
Jordan Brooks, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But they don't do that.
People stop telling me about the leading tackle in Jordan Brooks.
That's not a good thing.
There's like Ray Lewis. I think it was Ray Lewis leading tackles, Zach Thomas versus what Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson have leading tackles.
Those guys are doing it because the front seven's not able to do it. Ray Lewis and Zach Thomas did it because they played everywhere in the field and just followed the ball.
The defensive tackles ate up the blockers, held ground, and they're instinctual, and they see the play before the play happens, so they make it before anybody else can make it. That's the difference. Anything else stand out to you? I just think Chargers don't score a lot of touchdowns. You're going to give up some yards. Don't keep them out of the end zone. Let that trend continue. give up the field goals. Don't let them get more than 2 touchdowns in this game. I think if they let the Chargers get more than 2 touchdowns in this game, I don't know if they'll win it. I think they got to keep them. If they get 1 touchdown, they get 3 field goals down there. That's kind of how the Chargers work. They get yards, but they don't score points. Even when the beginning of the season, when they were on all cylinders, the most they scored was 27. So, anything you guys want to add on the offensive defense game plan versus the Chargers, Jason or Curtis?
Blitz, pressure. Make it difficult for Herbert. That's the key.
And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And again, I think the 2 biggest questions for the Chargers: will they give Herbert enough time? Will the Dolphins generate that pass rush? And will they be able to be effective to run the ball without Amari Hampton? They're going into some backs that are unproven. Last week, Rico Dowdle, he was a proven back, 1,000-yard back for the Cowboys. So it's a little different. All right. Keys to the game, we mentioned them. I'm going to go over them real quick. Generate pass rush. Don't let running back 3 beat you. Control Herbert's legs. Do not abandon the run. Run for success on early downs. And will the Chargers be able to run the football without Hampton? Those are my keys to the game. You guys want to piggyback on that or add any? Go ahead. We'll start with you, Jason.
A healthy balance of run and pass. And if one of the areas, specifically the run, is working, do not abandon it. If you're down 7 or 10, do not abandon the run. Unless, of course, it's 2 minutes left. I get that. But if it's the third quarter and it's, 20-12, 20-10, use the run to soften the defense up and don't abandon the run, which will set up for play action and down the field.
Curtis.
Look, football's a game about fortitude, physical fortitude, mental fortitude. Both these teams, their offensive coordinators better be balanced. They better attack every single area of the field in the run and pass. Whoever has that intestinal fortitude is going to have the edge. Play actions. Look how bad we bite on play actions. They've got to be salivating it, but it's not going to take effect unless they're running the football. They're probably not going to get the yards that Carolina got last week, but they don't need that because they got a way better quarterback. Remember, that offense that we saw with Carolina had no quarterback. So there's a lot of offsetting here that Herbert's going to be able to do. But if they get cutesy, they're going to have problems with this offensive line. And the same with us. You're going to see who is a real offensive coordinator by how much they can keep that defense off the field, how much they can keep that opposing DC guessing, and how much they run that football, especially in the inside, to work stuff off that, to hide and mask the flaws of the offensive line. That's going to be the key to the game. Because given what we know about both these offensive lines and offenses, they don't score a lot of points. So you've got to be patient. Dolphins are home. And somebody talk about it. They're traveling across the country.
Yeah,
and they're in the heat.
And they're in the heat.
So those are critical factors.
Yeah, that's a great point you mentioned. I forgot to mention that. That's not easy. That does something to you, body. I mean, we've all traveled. We've traveled across the country. How do you feel getting off the plane?
I barely wake up this morning. I got to get out from my room to here.
Yeah,
I got to stretch when I take an hour drive. I'm not feeling great. Back my legs.
The room to the fridge, and I'm already a little dizzy. So.
We're not football players.
Yeah, we're not football players, clearly. All right, so great keys to the game, guys. All right, so let's do some individual key matchups. I like to do that. I got some. You guys can add some to it. I think Waller versus Derwin James, to me, is going to be a key because I think they need to feed Darren Waller and feed him. Don't give me the excuse. Again, you said, Curtis, they don't adjust. Do not give me the excuse that they took him away. He's 6'6", 240, whatever he is. Tua can get the ball to him. There was stuff on film that he could have forced it there a little more. But Derwin James he's done it against Kelsey. So I think that's a key matchup you want to win. I think whoever spies on Herbert, I think is a huge matchup. Whether it be, you mentioned Jason Jordan Brooks, or it's the edges of Phillips or Chop. You got to contain him. And I think Paul versus Tooley, the edge rusher, man, that's going to be fun. You guys want to add any or talk about those matchups, or is there anything, the wide receivers maybe, Quentin Johnson or Lad McConkey, anything you guys want to add?
Look, who are we going to play? Who's our third cornerback? It's probably going to be Minka. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's true.
So McConkey is going to feast. I like what he does, but he can't cover him. That slot corner versus whoever, McConkey, whoever we play at that slot is going to be massive. And then, obviously, I go right back to it. Borum versus, Borum, Strange, and Jonah, and Brewer half an arm going against that front. That is going to be massive. And I do think that Wilder versus James is big, but I'd put that as third because that front matchup is going to be key. And Ali can do it. He didn't have a good game last week, but he had a good game, but his stats weren't good because he wasn't getting any, but you got to give a guy like that touches. So we've got to play smart, that front and that cornerback, because McConkey's brutal, man. He is so good. Just little things, slip in the tackle to pick up a couple of extra. And he's got amazing chemistry with Herbert. And dude, you got the Allen, who's one of the top receivers in the history of the game, quickest or whatever. So our cornerbacks are trashito.
I like the Chargers' weapons. Especially when they have Hampton. I like them. They're sneaky good. Quentin Johnson really took a next level, and McConkey just does the nuances, the little things. He's fast. You know what I mean? Like he's quick too. So, and you mentioned. Weaver said that it looked like it's going to be safeties playing that third corner, which is no wonder.
It's almost if you look at it objectively, it's almost like, hey, we're trying to not tell you we're tanking, but we all know we're tanking. If you just go look at the roster and like what we got left,
Yeah, it's bad.
Eichenberg was signed and he hasn't played a snap. Jackson extended the next year, hasn't played a snap. Well, no cornerbacks. Come on. Somebody
please tape Jack Jones' thumbs to his hand. Yeah. Jason, any matchups you like individually in this game? We got to mention the guards versus the former Dolphin. Jonah. Hey, shout out to Jonah. He owned up to it, in that his post-game press conference or his press conference during the week. He says his confidence is not down, but shout out to him. I like the way he handled it. And let's hope he can finally start taking the steps, Curtis. But Jason, any matchups you're looking forward to seeing individually in this game?
Yeah, no, it's going to be that Derwin James Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in seeing that. And even if Derwin is handling him, don't deviate from Waller. So I'm curious to see
everything in this game. Don't deviate from the running game. This
Correct.
is the problem. They don't have successor. Devon A-Chain he's not Barry Sanders, but he's the type of back that one carry goes for 70, the next one goes for -3 yards. The problem is when they see 3-1-1-1 and a -2, they stop. Maybe it's the 9th carry in the first half that he goes for 64 yards. And then Gordon, they got it in first down, they got to run. Early on running success is one of the things. All right.
Again, one last little point. Rush attempts is a far higher indicator than rush production for success.
Yes.
It's just a fact.
You said that many times, and his stubborn head, Mike McDaniel, doesn't realize that because he's trying to get that. Oh, we're down 7. He freaks out. We're down 10. He freaks out.
He's a nervous Nelly.
Yes. You're so right. You're so right on that. He freaks out. He doesn't stick with it. He'll just abandon the whole thing and then come back to it when you don't need to come back to it.
Look, there's a term. There's a term for if you're a fighter or a soldier. It's called being blooded. And every human has a natural inclination to protect themselves. But after you've been hurt so many times, you've been blooded, that natural inclination gets subdued and you just have a greater, that's what they call the graybeards or the veterans.
Yeah.
And, you look at Gailey in 2020, he had less talent, running back and offensive line, but he was so blooded over decades of doing this that he was able to keep rushing. We were 16th most overall, and that played huge dividends. McDaniel's still that guy trying to not get a black eye. Still, when he throws the punch, he goes like this. And that's the key. That's how you know. If you watch OC and they're skittish to run the football after a few bits of lack of success, and they do it over and over again, they don't got it. They don't got the blooded nature.
He's scared.
And McDaniel is that.
He's scared, and it's why it's the biggest reason I think it's psychological why he doesn't stick with the running game. He's
a nervous Nelly.
He gets freaked out when they're down 10. Instead of, hey, have confidence, stick with the game plan, trust the ability of the guy you have. He's one of your best players, and you can pop one. Lean on him. You lean on the fourth quarter, they'll feel it. These defenses are fresh against the Dolphins to make plays because we're not pounding them with anything.
So, wait, one last point.
So
this is what, I don't understand how, professionals don't understand. I mean, some. So if you run the football and you get a 1 yard gain or a 2 yard gain, and then you get a couple of those, and then you quit running the football, the negative value of a defense going, they gave up on it, I know where they're going, is far worse than opening up for a second down and 9 or second down and 8. The value of schematic and strategic diversity to keep the defense guessing and the offense having the initiative is far greater value than the actual yards themselves. And if you give up because you're trying to get more yards and you give up the strategic edge, it's amateurs worry about battles, but generals pay attention to what's it called? The logistics. So you could try to win these little battles, but the strategic and logistic level of combat is a far higher value. And that's what run diversity does. That's what run attempts do. And McDaniel just hasn't learned it. It's not there. And if he gets it, he would have done a lot better. So, and that's my thing. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting delirious over here.
Hey, and I got one more last point. I got to jump in. It's not only that. It's when they know you're not running it, your play action is not as effective. You can't set up everything.
No blitzes.
You think the defense is going to loosen up after that coverage and even without Tyreek Hill? And they're going to loosen up and come off that shell coverage? No, because they know you're going to abandon the running game if it doesn't work in the first 4 freaking carries in the game. It all sets up. Again, Mike's got to be better at that. It's got to start this game versus the Chargers. All right. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon. Let's get to the fun over and under game that Curtis is so good at, and I'm so good at. Go ahead, Curtis.
I don't know. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
No, here we go. I'm going to handle it. I'm just telling you.
I suck at this thing, dude.
All right, we'll let Jason.
I'm not blooded.
You're McDaniel. You're scared.
Yeah, right. I'm queasy. I get queasy over this.
All right, Sonny, you're going to lead us off. Your first debut of the over-under game. Tua Tagovailoa, over-under 223.5 passing yards. He has hit the under 3 of the last 5. You go over or you go under, Sonny?
I'm going to go under out of necessity because I do think that there will be a comeback effort. And as much as I want a run balance, he is going to have to throw the ball vertically downfield. So I'm going to go over. I'm not saying he's going for 400, but I'm going to say over.
Under.
I'm going to go under. I'm going to go. Damn, I think I'm going to go slightly over. I think it's about 240. So I'll go over. Touchdowns 1.5. Over under. He's hit 4. I think it's a great one to I play this one in the book. 4 or 5. Last 4 to the 5. He's hit the over. I'm going to go over with 2. He gets 2 touchdowns. Curtis.
Under.
Jason.
Under.
Ooh, so I'm the only one going over here. Chad, if you want to join in, spin is going up. All right, I like this segment. If the Dolphins don't win Sunday, we will be 6 feet under. All right.
Oof.
So Tua 1.5 touchdowns. I went over. You both went under. Waddle 68.5 yards receiving. He's been under the last 4 of the 5 games, but he's been trending up with Hill out. Are you going over and under? My phone's ringing in the back. Over and under on 68.5 yards receiving.
Under for me.
Jason?
I'm going to go over because I think that he could hit one that could be 30-plus yards, and you don't have to average too much more. I think he can get 6 catches, 75 yards at bare minimum, so I'll go over there.
All right, the next one on Waddle, 5.5 receptions. He's gone. Well, I'll go over. I didn't answer. 5.5 receptions for Waddle. He's gone under 4 of the last 5, but again, we go by last week without Hill. I'm going to go. He gets 6 catches, and I think he's going to be about 6 for 90 in this game. So you guys over under 5.5 receptions.
Under for me.
Jason,
I'm going to put him at 6. So let's go over.
6. Okay. All right. AJ, 56.5 rushing. He's hit under 3 out of the 5. I'm going to go a little bit over here. I think that they need to run consistently. You guys.
I think over. I think he's going to be him and Wall are going to be showpieces.
Yeah. 50. Jason.
I'll go over, but if you're for all the prop bettors out there, for Achane, play the rushing plus receiving yards over under, which probably should come in around like 78, 80. Combine them and go over.
All right. So I went over. Let's go. Here's one. 13.5 rushing attempts. He's hit the under 4 of the last 5. It's a lot. Damn it. I just want them to do it and stick with the running game, and I want to believe they're going to do it. My gut tells me to go under here. You know what? I'm going to go over. I think he gets 14, 15 carries. I'm going to go over. You guys?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm hoping. I don't know if it's more hopium or.
Yeah, I think it's more hope than anything.
I'm going to go under because usually that's where he's at, 10 to 13, you know, but getting 7 receptions. So the touches should be in the 18 to 20 range, but you got to get that power rushing component while preserving Achane's body. So let's call it 12 rushing attempts for Achane, 7 targets, 5-6 catches, but Ollie Gordon needs 7 to 12 rushes for them to have any chance at winning this game, I think.
I think that they're going to go off Ollie again quick with a few negative plays, and I think McDaniel's going to be like, listen, I'm going to ride you until you drop.
Yeah,
I'm riding you till you drop.
I've given up in the bold predictions. Ollie's going to have a good game, so I just given up. But you said quickly 4.5 receptions. You already answered that, Jason. Basically, you said over for Achane. I'll go under. Actually, he's been under 3 of the last 5. I think they're going to go more rushing with him. Curtis, over under.
Over. I think they're just going to ride him until he drops.
Okay, well, 31.5 receiving yards over under for Achane. He's hit under 4 of the 5. 4 of the last 4 of the 5 games. I'm going to go.
They don't have the best linebackers.
I'm going to go under. Slightly under. Jason?
I'm going to stick to the over because his ability to break 1 or 2.
All right. Let's wrap it up with Waller. 39.5 receiving yards. He's hit the over in the half of the games he's played this year. The 1 out of the 2. They got to feed him. I'm going over.
See, this is a tough number.
James.
This is a tough number.
Yeah.
I hope that it's going to be the over because, again, he has the ability to stretch a little vertically, but I think his money can be made in the red zone. So if he gets like 3 catches for 22 yards and a touchdown, that could be a win. So prop bettors out there, and I'm coming out with my prop article for Dolphins Wire a little later today, I would stick with Waller's reception, probably 2.5 over that. That's probably what they're going to set it at.
I have it here. That's the next one. Don't get ahead of yourself.
All right, I'm sorry. It's tough for me to call the under here because Waller should be able to get 40, 50 yards really on any given Sunday, but James might cut that ability to get him deep. So reluctantly, I'm going receiving yards under. Reluctantly.
Look, everything doesn't have to be deep. Just get the damn ball to the guy. But I don't know if McDaniel will be an idiot or not. I'll just say over because I think those are the 2 guys that they're going to ride.
So here's
I got to run, dude. I got to get to the other show.
Yeah, quickly. 3.5 yard receptions. You go over under, Jason.
4. He's got to catch 4.
It's over under.
What was the question? I'm sorry, I got on that.
3.5 receptions.
I think over.
All right. Last thing, wrap it up because I know Curtis has got to get out of here to another show. Bold prediction and final score. Curtis.
Bold prediction. McDaniel's going to have a bold set and run the football 28 times.
And the score?
My prediction, we're still going to lose. I think we lose.
All right. You can bounce out of here. We'll finish the show.
Sorry, guys.
We're going to take care. Have
Curtis,
a good
you're
one.
the man. Love you, brother.
You too. Guys, thank you for letting me be on here. Thank you, everyone watching.
Of course. Thank you, Curtis. Go. All right. So, final prediction for you, Mr. Jason Sarney.
I'm gonna quadruple down, George.
The
bold prediction, and I hope I'm wrong, is that the Dolphins lose, and Monday morning we're waking up to a coaching firing.
Ooh, Mr. Jason Sarney. If you guys know and has always watched this the Fins Faithful podcast, this is the game where Sarney has predicted would be the last one where it meets the end is near for Mike McDaniel, according to Jason Sarney.
If I was sitting in that owner's box, if I was sitting in that owner's box and I'm looking at a 30-10 score, 42-17 at the hands of Harbaugh and Herbert, what the hell are we doing if a change isn't made?
So that tells you be ready for the live show when it happens. be on call, Jason. You should be calling me because you predicted this. So did Cleveland fire their coach? I don't know, Cap. I don't think so. I never heard. Spin says 34-21. DR says, dang, I missed the show. No problem. Watch on the replay. We appreciate you always in here, DR. All right. So what was your score again? Your final score?
I amended it slightly. Earlier in the week, I was like 31-17, but let's give the Dolphins a couple more points and bring it to a 30-20.
Yeah.
Chargers.
32. Yeah. So Lou's got 31-27 Fins. All right. I think this is going to be my bold prediction. Dolphins defense gets 5 sacks in this game.
Ooh, wow.
That's bold, right?
If they get 5 sacks, they have to win the game.
Yeah. Well, we thought that last week. You could have told me we got 2 turnovers and we were up 17-0 in the first quarter. We would have won that game. But I'm going to go. Boy, I wanted to pick the Dolphins because I do think both of these teams offensively don't score a lot of points. I think this is going to be in their A dot, which is the average, how far the ball travels, the average depth on each pass is like 7. Like if it's 5, to give you an example, it's like a lot of screen passes. So they don't pass the ball very far down the field, a lot of short passes. I think it'll be a low scoring game. I think the Dolphins get after and successfully get after Herbert, I hope. But I do think it's going to be a close game, but I just got to go with the Dolphins not winning it. I'm going to go 24-21 Chargers. And I'll be at the game. And I just want to mention this afternoon at Go Campers, I'll be doing some errands after the show and then heading on over to Bo Campers from 2 to 6. A bunch of people. It's fan weekend. Everybody's coming down. Fortunately, Jason couldn't make it. We would have loved to see him down there, but we're going to go to that. So, I'm excited to meet everybody. This season hasn't been fun, but these events could be fun. Leave all the personal stuff aside. This is not podcasting. This is Dolphin fans with the same goal. And, this team, if anything, has brought us together, and I've made a lot of friendships. Jason, you're one of them. Sammy in the chat's another, Curtis. A lot of friendships I made out of this. And to me, and not only that, people I bring on the show, but in the chat, I still get amazed when people watch this show or they make a comment on it. When I started this a year and a half ago, I didn't think anybody would watch. So I appreciate it. I really do. In this fan week, and I want to send my appreciation out to not the fans, but the people who enjoy our show and watch it. I really appreciate it.
Just to piggyback off that. This is the first time in like half a decade I'm not down for a fan weekend, maybe minus a year. First time like 4 years out of 5. But there are so many great people from Florida, from every quadrant of the country who run these fan clubs, who work in collaboration to put this all together. I've met some of the best people of my life down at Fan Weekend who I've spoken to for years, and there's a lot of good that comes with a weekend like this, and there's a lot of charitable efforts. There's a lot of fundraising efforts. Please do your part in helping out the DCC, the Jason Taylor Foundation. There's a gift drive at Eastgate 12.
Yes, the toy drive.
It does not take a lot for this fan base to collectively do a lot. So please throw your hat in the ring and helping some of these great clubs and people. And a couple of them are in the podcast or are in the chat right now.
Steve's one of them. Steve's
Correct.
one of the good guys here. Steve, make an appointment on your show. I'll be honored. I haven't been on your show in a while. So let's talk and let me get on your show. I haven't been there and we haven't talked in a while. So let's make that happen. Steve, thank you. I appreciate those kind words. This is what makes this fun. I do a lot, I do a lot of tireless work behind the scenes. I don't talk without research. I don't talk, I'm passionate about this and what I do. And we're doing our best to build this channel to give fans the most perspective, but in the right way, passion. We're not going to be driven by narratives and stories. We'll cover the team objectively. That's kind of how I work at it, and I do it. And I bring my passion for this team for 30 plus years through the screen. I hope that is what projects through the screen when you guys listen. And because there's a lot of shows to choose from. There's not a shortage. And I'm not telling you which one to watch, but I'm telling you what we bring here. And people like Jason, who, Jason has come on, join the team, and Jay and Jacob and everybody, the post-game show. You got Frank the Tank on, just this kind of weekend makes you reflect, on all the things that, the people you've met. And, I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be at the game Sunday. So, Jason, we'll be doing post-game show later. So look out for that. The times could be 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., something like that by the time I get back home. So I'll have some time to kind of digest the win or loss. Hopefully it's a win. We got something to talk about. And give some more time because usually we're right. We'll continue the next week right after the game with the raw emotion. But we appreciate everybody watching. I got to get out of here and get to do some stuff before I get hit on the road to Bo Campers. Jason, take us home. Anything you want to close with here on this fan week? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to end the show with? Or you said you're.
Yeah, you know what? One more little piece of something I just want to say. With this game of podcasting, this game of coverage, content creation, it could be a battle in and of itself. There's competition out there. There's friends. There's foes. What have you? We're all in this to see the same thing for a successful Dolphins team. So for those that do it the right way, I appreciate you wholeheartedly. I know when I say this that not a single soul on this earth, including myself, is perfect. The only perfect entities that this world has ever seen is God and the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Well, end it on that, Jason Sarney. Everybody have a safe weekend. Hopefully we'll talk to you tomorrow after a Miami Dolphins victory. As always, for Jason Sarney and myself, stay safe. Fins up, everybody. Have a great weekend.